In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
You are listening live to the Vito and Vito Show. Disrespectful to the executive branch.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
Don't sign the damn deal, and the president will...
Therefore, I do not believe that the majority can vote a man's life or property or freedom away from him.
And we're live on the Vito and Vito Show. I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito.
And we want to welcome everybody to the Vito and Vito Show. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com. Give us a follow. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Vito and Vito Show. And allow my co-host to explain what you're listening to.
We're bringing you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservative libertarians at a liberal hellhole, Brooklyn, New York, where we're committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, and individualism. We hold no punches here on the show.
None whatsoever.
Nope.
It's going to be a great show tonight, Vito. We have a friend of ours calling in later on.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. We got two guests calling in. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump.
Donald J. Trump and the recent gate comments.
Are we not allowed to say that word on air?
I don't think we should. I'm not even going to try. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't even do it. Don't even do it, Vito. Try to hold your tongue as much as you can.
I'm going to try.
I hope so. I hope you do, because it's going to be a hell of a show tonight. We're going to be talking about, yes, the Trump tapes is coming out. We're going to be talking also debate performance, second debate performance.
Trump tape. Makes it sound like he released a sex tape.
It's pretty close. With our friend Senator Ted Harvey of the Stop Hillary PAC. We're going to have him come on around what time, Vito? 8:30 p.m.?
Yes. Eastern
time. And, of course, before we start with Donald Trump, we have a local story for you. So those listening in Florida and other states that we have the show broadcasting and on the internet all over the country and possibly the world.
Mm-hmm.
Our good friend Bob Capano. We want to talk about all politics is local. This is what Tip O'Neill was talking about. All politics is local. He's a district director, former congressman. He's a district director for former Congressman Bob Turner. He is an adjunct political science professor, and he's a hardworking American, and we're going to bring him on in just a bit. His name is Bob Capano, and he's running for city council here in New York, so he's going to be up against the ridiculous liberal establishment machine, and he's going to be against Mayor Comrade de Blasio.
Right, next year is when de Blasio's term is up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the city council...
For those of you who don't know, Mayor de Blasio, which you should, because he is a liberal icon, a progressive mayor, Comrade, went on his honeymoon. Where'd he go? To Cuba or something like that? Or
I think North Korea.
North Korea, one of those communist countries.
I think it was Cuba, actually. Yeah.
But he is an absolute disaster. He is the mayor responsible.
Lesbian wife.
Yes, he has a wife that used to be a lesbian.
Because Phil, he changed her mind.
He met her at an LGBTQAXYZ event back a while ago, and she was, yes, like you said, Vito, a lesbian, and then he persuaded her to join the straight club. And sure enough, they've been in love ever since. And, Mayor de Blasio has a son named Devontae. He has a big afro, this kid.
And the cops pick on him.
And the cops pick on him. And Mayor de Blasio's key word is, I fear for my son's life every day, in reference to the police department. So you want to talk about anti-cop, Black Lives Matter, Al Sharpton sitting with the police commissioner and the mayor of New York City?
Mm-hmm. And not only
disaster.
Not only we see this started in New York City when the cops turned their backs on de Blasio.
After those two police officers were murdered senselessly,
and
Officer Wu and Officer Ramos, for those of you who don't remember.
Which is in the neighborhood around where we live. But Black Lives Matter, this whole thing has taken over the last year or so, if we all know. And, talking about the cops, Colin Kaepernick, the quarterback for 49ers, who does not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance during the games.
National anthem?
Yeah, yes. I'm sorry. One of the Buffalo Bills players invited a bunch of cops, bought tickets for a bunch of cops to come to the game when they're playing the 49ers. Just to spite Kaepernick.
Was that just this last week?
This is the week coming up.
Oh, that's great.
So he's inviting all these cops to come.
That's awesome.
So I think that's cool.
So I just want people to understand the gravity of the situation that's going on right now. We're talking about a ridiculous mayor. We're going to talk about also the craziness in New York City. This is why it's so important we stop Hillary. Because if you think de Blasio is bad in New York, I could assure you that Hillary Clinton is going to be worse for the country.
Mm-hmm.
You might think you're safe now, sitting in Florida, some other state, just hanging out. I'm telling you now. It's Hillary Clinton who's going to do that to you.
And it's trickle-down politics, because it starts at the top. Hillary Clinton. You got Obama, the Democrats. But once they start winning more at the local level, you might not live in the most liberal place. Lucky you. But we live in New York City, and we see the side effects every day. Right now, as we'll talk to Bob Capano about, the city council they're taxing plastic bags. A 5-cent tax.
They're thinking about it. They want to...
That. Also, which I think is a forget about a moment, but I want to talk to Bob Capano about this, is that the New York City is going to talk about possibly banning wet wipes.
Why? I didn't hear about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, a whole new article again into Bob Capano, and forget about it, that they're going to either put much stricter regulations, I guess it's bad for the environment, when they go down the toilet, and they want to either ban them, or if, everyone's caught using them, a sewer is a $2,500 fine, which will cripple a small business. Isn't that ridiculous?
That is ridiculous.
So taxing people for plastic bags, and now banning, I remember they wanted to ban, styrofoam, was it?
Mm-hmm. Under Mayor Bloomberg.
Ban
the
soda?
tyranny of right, the soda ban. Remember that in New
Even
York?
banning guns.
They banned, FYI, they banned e-cigarettes from being used in bars and restaurants. Explain to me how an electronic cigarette that expels water vapor is on the same playing field as tobacco.
While Colorado is talking about
because it looks like a cigarette. Just understand that. It looks like a cigarette.
It's ridiculous. New York City, a very liberal, disgusing place. Anyway. That's why we need people like Bob Capano.
Yes, we do, and I want to welcome him right now to the Vito and Vito show. He is a former he was a district director for former Congressman Bob Turner. He's an adjunct professor and possible city council candidate. Let me welcome to the Vito and Vito show our good friend Bob Capano. Bob, welcome.
Thank you, Vito. How are you?
Bob, it is a pleasure to have you on. We hear you got big news you haven't told anybody, so go ahead and rip it all out. What is the big news?
Well, the big news is, as you know, I'm running for city council, and I think we need a sane voice in the city council, and I started very early to put in an organization together. We got our website up, www.bobcapano.com, and I'm excited to announce that I have 4 outstanding co-chairs that decided to come aboard and support me, and those are former Congressman Bob Turner, who, as you know, sent shockwaves through the country when he won the special election to replace the disgraced Congressman Anthony Weiner. I was honored that he chose me to be his district chief of staff. I was proud of the work we did together. He's an honorable man. I still remember him and I touring parts of Brooklyn and Queens after Superstorm Sandy, and I'm honored to have his support. Also, former Brooklyn GOP Chairman Craig Eaton, who did a great job in Brooklyn, building the Republican Party throughout the borough, which was no easy task, as you know, given that Brooklyn would be the 4th largest city if it was an independent city. He did a great job. So Bob Turner, Craig Eaton, John Catsimatidis, who I know both of you worked very hard for during the mayoral primary, and I think the majority of New Yorkers would admit would be infinitely better off today if John Catsimatidis was mayor. So I'm certainly honored to have his support. And finally, who better epitomizes the quintessential New Yorker than Curtis Sliwa? You know, him and his guardian angels have been on the front lines helping New York City for a long time. So with Bob Turner, Craig Eaton, John Catsimatidis, and Curtis Sliwa on board, I'm excited about this race. And as you know, the 43rd Council District is one of those few districts where a Republican can indeed win.
Well, Bob, I mean, that's some huge news. That is huge news. And seriously, that is great to hear because, first of all, let's break this down because, remember, this is a bit of a national show. We are out in Florida, so I just want to give the people just a taste of what it is that they're understanding here. If you're in Brooklyn, New York, and you're listening to the show, we love to bring local candidates on because we want to get you guys as much exposure as we can. And I just want to break this down for everybody. You definitely know who these people are if you're from Brooklyn. Craig Eaton, one of the best county chairmen this county's ever had in the history of county chairmanship. We are big supporters of Craig, right, Vito?
Absolutely.
Love Craig. We're so happy that you got him on his side. Bob Turner, awesome congressman, like you said, took over disgraced Anthony Weiner's congressional seat. Everyone knows the horror. Yes, during a special election, everyone knows the purr of Anthony Weiner. So we're happy that he's on your team. John Catsimatidis is a businessman for New York. He's like Donald Trump, just without the Trump tapes. You know, he's awesome. He's awesome, and it's great to have him on board as well. He's a billionaire, self-made man. We were helping him out in his campaign when he ran. That's how we first got involved. It's on our website, and we're so happy that he's on board. And Curtis Silva, who doesn't love this guy? He's the Guardian Angels. He started the Guardian Angels in New York, and he has done great work. So, Bob, this is awesome. So now here's the question. What are you going to be running on? What are you going to be running on in the 43rd Assembly District?
Well, basically, and I know you have a wide audience, but I think throughout the country we know what Bill de Blasio and this city council is doing to New York. You know, I just deeply believe that Bill de Blasio's progressive policies are progressively bad for New York City. And we need some sanity and common sense in the city council. And at every turn that they're nickel and diming and taxing us, I believe you just talked about it, and it's something I've been very vocal on as someone who manages a business, by the way, which sets me apart from some other people looking at this race that I've actually worked in the real world. This bag fee, ridiculous, literally nickel and diming. It's a 5-cent tax. They could call it whatever the heck they want, but it's just nickel and diming New Yorkers. Come February 15th, and we just got the official notice over the past week from the Department of Sanitation, beginning February 15th, 2017, hard-working families and seniors on fixed income are now going to have to shell out more money just to take their groceries home. I mean, we could go on and on. The homeless crisis returning. There is not one of these facilities throughout the country, and this city council just allocated, listen to this, $100,000 to study bringing heroin injection facilities to New York City.
My God.
New York City does not need clean, nice, medically supervised, taxpayer-funded shooting galleries for heroin addicts. This is going to allow addicts to legally shoot up in local neighborhoods. And there are about 100 of these facilities, mainly in Europe and Canada, but none in the United States. But this city council wants to bring it to New York City. It's crazy what's happening.
I mean, Bob, I want to talk about that, about the, we're going to get to the 5-cent bag tax, but I want the people of this country to know, and the people of Brooklyn. I mean, we're talking about a heroin crisis that is out of control. It was brought up in presidential debates this past year. It was brought up by campaigns. There was a walk here in New York not too long ago to bring attention to heroin issues, and the more and more we see things like that, the more and more it bothers me that the City Council of New York, this terrible, one-sided, one-party rule City Council, wants to go ahead and use our taxpayer money, our taxpayer dollars, our hard-earned dollars to open up shoot-up galleries. I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable. We're going to get to the 5-cent bag tax in just a minute. But, I mean, I just want the people of or listening to the show in other countries to understand the gravity and the stupidity of what is going on here.
And in fact,
galleries. I mean, Bob, answer me this, because I just can't believe this. They would argue, and I want to hear the counter argument. They would argue that it's safer if they shoot up in New York City taxpayer-funded shooting galleries because
right,
they won't use
using cleaner needles, medically supervised, and all that. But look, I would prefer, and not prefer, I know that the better way to use taxpayer funds for this is to help people get the treatment they need to get off heroin, not to keep them on it. And in fact, on my website, www.bobcapano.com, I started a petition drive for people to sign to oppose this. But it also shows you a video of a former heroin addict who says that these heroin injection facilities don't help because they just give users a reason to keep on using.
Bob, it's so shocking and it's disgusting. And I really hope, if you really want to get involved in these issues, America, you really want to get involved in these issues, Brooklyn, New York, because when you see things like this happening, when you see the ridiculousness that's coming out of City Hall or from your local municipality or from the White House, you want to get out there and you want to fight the unbelievable stupidity that comes out of our lawmakers. We have to do something about this, and thank God, Bob, you're fighting for that. And now I also want to turn the attention to the 5-cent bag tax, where New York wants to tax people to use plastic bags, which is ridiculous. They tried to ban styrofoam. They tried to ban other things because they said it was unhealthy for us, bad for the environment. Tell us, Bob, how are you going to fight the 5-cent bag tax?
Well, let me tell you, I happen to manage a supermarket, so work in the real world, and so this hit me very personally and hit my customers very personally because as they get in wind of this, they are outraged, not only because of the nickel and dime, but no one really, typical bureaucratic, liberal city council, they don't think of the real impact. So now think about it. As customers are standing online, and looking to get home to their families, now these shoppers are now likely going to have to wait longer on the lines as cashiers now have to take the extra time to count the bags used so they know how much to add on to the bill. So this may sound silly to some, but it's the reality of how laws affect businesses. So in June, the City Council voted 38-11 to delay implementation of this law from October to February 15th. They said they were going to work on some compromises to deal with the widespread criticism. Well, guess what? It was a political ploy. Nothing changed. The law is the same. I saw the notice from Department of Sanitation this week. Not one word in the original bill changed. It's unbelievable. Unfortunately, it's going to happen, and hopefully, as New Yorkers wait longer lines and pay more, come November 2017, they'll remember those council members that voted for this.
Well, aside from the campaign and everything, I want the listeners at home to get to know Bob, you. Tell us about you, how you got involved in politics, and more at a personal level.
Well, I went to school upstate, Orange County Community College. I got involved in student government there, and that's what really spurred my interest. And then after college, I came home and I back to Brooklyn, and I started teaching high school social studies at St. Edmund's High School. It was a great experience. I loved it, but ultimately I knew I wanted to get involved in public service. So in 1999, I started working for former Democratic Brooklyn Borough President Howard Golden. I was his community liaison to Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights. And then Democratic Borough President Marty Markowitz came into office. And he not only kept me at Borough Hall, but he promoted me to his Director of Community Relations. And let me add this, not that many people know this, but there were plenty of Democratic council members and Democratic elected officials telling Marty Markowitz, "What are you, crazy, keeping a Republican on board? Bob wants to run for office someday. All he cares about is Republicans." But Marty knew that I had a great reputation in working with everybody. And after Marty Markowitz, I ended up working for Republican Congressman Vito and Republican Congressman Bob Turner. So I'm very proud that I don't know if anyone else can say that they worked for Brooklyn's top elected Republicans and Democrats. And in addition to that, political stuff, I'm also proud of my community involvement. I was the president of the 68 Precinct Youth Council, which provides 1,100 children of Southwest Brooklyn with baseball and soccer programs. I managed my own team, involved with countless other organizations. I'm currently, for the past 13 years, an adjunct professor of political science at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and now I manage a business. So, lived in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, over 90% of my life. Great track record working with elected officials and civic organizations. And like I said, I'm not happy what's happening in the city. And I want to stand up for my city and my hometown community and the city council, and again, bring somewhat of a sane voice to the city council.
Well, that's some resume you got over there. And it's funny you mentioned St. Edmunds because that's where I went to high school, and actually a social studies teacher got me into politics much more during the Romney campaign a couple of years ago. So I guess John
Lorenzetti was the principal when I was there. I know he was a long-time principal there.
He's still there.
Good man.
Look
man.
at that. You guys have history of some. Way to go, Bob. All right, Bob, let me just ask you this quick question, because we got to go to break real soon, so I'm going to cut our interview real short. But we love to have you back. You were absolutely great, and you definitely got our support. I don't care who else is running, Bob. You got our support, and that's important.
Thank you.
You got the Vito and Vito Show support. Put that on the website. The first endorsement.
That'll be there.
There you go. Let me ask you this, Bob. You said you worked with Democrats in the past. Please tell me, vow to us right now and the listeners, you're not going to betray the people of New York, the Republicans who are going to help put you there. Please tell us, vow to us, tell us that you're not going to sacrifice principle for the sake of compromise and play political games when you get to the city council, because we need someone who's going to stand and fight the Democratic machine. Can you take that pledge for us?
Absolutely. I mean, I sometimes I can't tell Republicans and Democrats apart anymore. As you know, I was the president of Brooklyn Young Republican Club for many years. I was involved with the state college, the state Young Republicans. You know what? At the end of the day, sometimes you have to fight the good fight. And you know what makes fighting the good fight even easier? When you have a mayor who is pushing forward all these crazy policies, the city council who's doing all these crazy things, and people are going to come aboard and they're going to say, we don't want New York City going back to the bad old days.
That's right. Bob Capano. Bob, where can we find more so our listeners can follow you and keep up with this campaign? How can they get involved if they live in the area?
Everything is on our website. Get involved, donate, all that good stuff. www.bobcapano.com, Twitter @BobCapano. So I look forward to a great campaign. You know, I could see that the Republican Party in New York City, uniting with me already with these outstanding co-chairs. You know what? And we're going to send a message in Bay Ridge, Dyker Heights, and Bensonhurst that we don't want these progressive policies. We want New York City to remain a safe city. We don't want a homeless crisis again. We don't want heroin injection facilities throughout our neighborhoods. We don't want bad taxes. We want a good, clean, safe city.
Bob Capano. There he is. 43rd, am I correct? 43rd
Correct.
Council District? There we go. 43rd Council District in Brooklyn, New York, fighting the good fight against Comrade Mayor de Blasio and his friends. Thanks so much, Bob, for coming on. We're going to go to break right now. Vito and Vito when we return with Senator Ted Harvey of the Stop Hillary PAC.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the California Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
Fighting the Common Core standards? Need a powerful tool to help inform others on this harmful education initiative? You're covered with Common Ground on Common Core, the collection of essays by 20 top education experts and activists. Reviewers call it the best single resource on the topic. You can share it with literally anyone. Order your print or digital copy of Common Ground on Common Core today. Just visit resoundingbooks.org. That's resoundingbooks.org. And get $2 off when you tell them Vito and Vito sent you. Paid for by Resounding Books Pack.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ReadyPA.org, brought to you by ReadyPA, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
And we're back, Vito and Vito, after a start for the new year right there. With our good friend Bob Capano. Vito, wasn't he awesome?
Always a good friend.
Always a good friend. I hope he's fighting the good fight. I know he's fighting the good fight. Anyone that fights against liberal Democrats is fighting the good fight. And that's what matters. Talk to me, Vito. Who's coming up next on this program?
Senator Ted Harvey from the Stop Hillary PAC. He's been on a couple times. Mm-hmm. Good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's really it.
There you go. Put that out nightly, Vito.
Yeah, well, he's coming on in a couple minutes.
All right. That's going to be good.
Before he comes on.
Yeah.
There was another debate, if my memory serves.
Right.
Something about someone grabbing somebody when they're not supposed to be grabbed.
Well, let's not.
Some terrible pantsuits and a couple like stains on the pants again.
A couple of pantsuits. Way to go, Vito. Standing up there, talking about them pantsuits.
I hate those pantsuits. At least if she was like a lady. Yeah, that'd be a little different. Because everybody talks about, we need a woman president. No, we need a woman president. I don't care if it's a woman.
Neither do I.
They have to be, one, conservative, with a brain, and not a criminal. Okay? Because these WikiLeaks see coming out, all these different emails, confidential stuff, blah, 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 all this stuff in the media. Nothing. Hillary Clinton never talks about it. Never this. And Donald Trump has thousands and thousands of people showing up at all these rallies, talking about it and spreading the word. And he has been hitting the road hard in Ohio and Florida, if you've been watching the news.
I've seen him fight hard. I've seen him keep going back and forth. I've seen him struggling with the media, and it's tough. It's tough for him. It is very tough for him, and I really hope he's able to pull it out.
And everybody who keeps saying that, Donald Trump is sliding, his campaign is dead, this is over, blah, 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 that's BS, okay? Donald Trump is doing fine. His supporters are there. Don't listen to any polls, because 10 people got polled in the middle of nowhere? Mm-hmm. Okay, you have to look at these polls, you have to understand where they're coming from, and that's not the majority of Americans.
That, I think there's a valid point there. I do think...
What I'm saying?
To what you're saying and to how people are going after what they're going after with Trump. I think there's a valid point there. You have to, don't underestimate the rest of America out there. Because they're pissed.
The deplorables.
The deplorables and all those. Don't get caught up. There is a whole campaign out there right now. there's a whole sense of urgency. People want to see change. And they are so sick and tired of the liberal media giving them whatever they want. Sick and tired. When I say whatever they want, I'm talking about Democrats giving them whatever they want. The more and more we continue to hear this ridiculous notion that there is no conflict with the media and Donald Trump or Republicans, that there is no liberal bias, I'm going to tell you to take your head out of your behind and really look at the facts. Because the WikiLeaks email clearly state Donna Brazile, blowing your nose there, you kidding me? Just let it out. Donna Brazile, former CNN contributor. I think now she's working for the DNC. Might even be the chair. I forgot off the top of my head because I didn't want to keep track of these people. Anyway, Donna Brazile was feeding Hillary Clinton questions for her debate with Bernie Sanders. The media is giving more coverage to the women who have come out recently and called Donald Trump a sexist and a sex offender. They are giving him more coverage, or these women more coverage, than they are giving Juanita Broderick and the people who are being attacked for saying that Bill Clinton raped and sexually assaulted them. I want to get into this with our good friend, Senator Ted Harvey. He's on the Vito and Vito show. As we go ahead and we patch him through. Senator, you there?
I am. How are you?
What's up, Senator Harvey? We're just talking now about, and first of all, let's start with this. Senator Ted Harvey, former Senator Ted Harvey. He is a part of the Stop Hillary PAC, correct?
I'm the chairman of the Stop Hillary PAC.
He's the chairman. He's not even a member, Vito. He's the chairman. Can't get better than that. Talk to us, Senator Harvey. We were talking about Donald Trump and how the media is ripping this man apart. They are tearing him left and right, limb from limb, calling him a pervert, a sex offender, and all these things. What's going on?
Well, they're scared to death to lose their power. They understand that there are two very diametrically opposed worldviews. Those that have been in place for the last 250 years of America's existence, and the understanding that our inalienable rights come from God, and the government is there to defend those inalienable rights. The left believes that government is there to be the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-controlling entity that tells us what we can and cannot do and levels the playing field so that nobody is better than anybody else. And they are one Supreme Court justice away from achieving everything they've been trying to achieve for the last 100 years. And they know that if Donald Trump wins, they will not have this chance again because he will appoint Scalia as the replacement and probably 3 or 4 others. And they know if they are able to win, they will be able to do that and change what we have known, what the world has known as America, the last great hope for mankind. So for them, this is a fight to the death. And hopefully the rest of the American people who are God-fearing American patriots understand how serious this threat is to the future of America.
Well, you're right about that, but I want to get into you're right that they're scared. The establishment's very scared. What I also think is that the media is absolutely corrupt, and it's proven. We take a look at the WikiLeaks emails, and just so the viewers know and the listeners know, we're going to be talking about the debate in just a bit. Hope we get your thoughts on it, Senator Harvey. But I want to just talk about these WikiLeaks emails because nobody's talking about them. CNN doesn't devote a time of day, any minute or second of the day, to these WikiLeaks emails. Hillary Clinton doesn't address them in her campaign rallies. They're rarely addressed during the debates. So we see the emails come out. We see that the media is literally conspiring against Trump and other Republicans. They went after Catholic Americans. They went after Mexicans. They went after the gay community. They are going after these groups of Democratic voters left and right, and I find it to be incredibly insulting. So let me ask you this, Senator Harvey. Right now, what we have is a media who is determined to stop Trump. They are putting out these stories from the New York Times and People magazine of women who claimed that Donald Trump has sexually assaulted them, and they're getting coverage, and they're getting all the credibility from CNN and the rest of the media. Explain to me this, Senator Harvey. Why isn't Juanita Broderick, Paula Jones, and others who have accused Bill Clinton of rape, why are they not being interviewed by CNN? Why was the Dateline interview pulled back in 1999 or 98 with Juanita Broderick when she explained her story to Dateline NBC. Why was that story pulled? Why is it that these 2-3 women that are accusing Trump of sexual misconduct are getting all the airtime and all the publicity they want?
Because the media is a left-wing arm of the liberal machine, and they are all on the same agenda, which is to fundamentally transform America. And reporting, doing honest journalism of the problems with Hillary and the 40-year trail of corruption that has followed Bill and Hillary everywhere they go, is not conducive to achieving their ultimate agenda, which is what I was talking about a minute ago. Their goal is to completely take over our society, and reporting the bad parts of Hillary Clinton does not achieve that objective.
All right, so what do you think? Do you think that these women from the Times and whatnot, are they lying? Because I heard a pretty good argument, but then I caught myself and I started thinking a little bit, where they said, how do you accuse Bill Clinton, his accusers, and you don't accuse Donald Trump's accusers? Why is there a problem here? Is it because you're just biased, or is there really an argument here? Why is it that we're more susceptible not to believe, as conservatives and Republicans or whatever, why are we not willing to believe these women from CNN and the Times?
I will never say that I don't believe them. I am not a defender of Donald Trump. I am the chairman of the Stop Hillary PAC. My goal is to make sure that Hillary Clinton never becomes president of the United States. So I'm out there telling everybody that will listen about how bad the Clinton legacy is. The fact when she was Secretary of State, she was using her office, one of the highest offices in American government, as a tool of pay-to-play to send money into the Clinton Foundation to pay for her family's lavish living. And the way that she covered it up by putting it into a private server and then deleting everything before Congress could take a look at it. This is corruption at the highest levels of government, and that's what I care about. This woman can never have the power of the presidency of the United States. Is Trump a flawed human being? Without a doubt, and I will never defend him. But if I and your listeners want to save this republic, we have to vote for him. That's the only tool we have to save the republic, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Hillary Clinton never becomes president of the United States.
You're right about that, Senator Harvey. I just want to clear up, because I know this might be taken the wrong way. I'm not saying that we're saying that. How do I put this? We're not saying that Donald Trump's accusers are wrong and are lying or whatever. What I'm trying to get at is that, and I've noticed this on different conservative publications, on Breitbart and other outlets like that. If you read the comment section, a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of people who consider themselves Republicans to be voting for Trump, a lot of supporters of Donald Trump are coming out and saying that they do not believe these stories. And somebody asked me today, why don't you believe the women from the Times story about Donald Trump, but you'll believe Juanita Broderick and the rest of them? And I just want to make this point very clear. And like you said, Senator Harvey, I think that was perfect. We're not here. We don't know. We just don't know. And we're not going to sit here and defend Donald Trump. However, I want to highlight that these women's stories are being given full credibility. They are being taken with a huge grain of salt. You know what I mean? As you know, they say taken with a grain of salt.
With credibility, taken to have significant credibility.
Exactly, and it's unbelievable.
And Clinton's accusers are not given any airtime whatsoever.
I mean, they called it a pony show.
I think the reason why is because Donald Trump did the most masterful production before and during the debates last Sunday, that he completely destroyed the left-wing media's and the Clinton machine's narrative that they were hoping to go into the debate with. He completely embarrassed them and completely reminded the American people, millions of people who got online to watch that show, watch that debate, that Bill Clinton was impeached, that Bill Clinton lied to the American public about sexual assault, that he lost his law license, and that he had to pay $850,000 to Paula Jones in a closed case settlement that nobody can ever open up. And the American people forget about this stuff. The millennials weren't even alive when the Clintons were in office. And the Clinton machine was doing everything they could to cover up all of that information. And Donald Trump stood up there in front of the American people and said, remember this, and shined a bright light on it, and the media is ticked off. So they're going to go out and they're going to find every single person that they can to put on the media and say Donald Trump is a terrible person. That's all they got.
Well, let's go ahead. Good. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the debate because Donald Trump, I think the way he put the Clintons on blast, the way he targeted in and called out Hillary, that was just amazing. I mean, no one has ever stood up to the Clintons like that before, and Donald Trump did. So whether you like him or not, you have to give him credit and the fact that he was able to stand up and go after the Clinton toe-to-toe, and it was just amazing to watch. I want to talk about his performance and that he's and how it's going to affect the campaign. He's struggling with suburban women. We know this. We know that he's struggling in Pennsylvania. We know he's struggling in a little bit in Florida, and supposedly he's losing his lead in Ohio. He's got to win 2 of those 3 states to even stay somewhat competitive. He needs all 3 really to get himself in a great position to win. Where does the debate performances help? Was he too strong? Should he have articulated more policy?
Absolutely not.
I think he did great.
It was the most spectacular display of Houdiniism, if I could use that word, of any politician ever. The entire country, everybody on the left and the right, thought that Donald Trump was not on the ropes. They thought he was on the mat, going for a 3 count, and this campaign was done with. When he said that he was going to have a press conference when these 4 women, I was like, oh my God, you cannot do that. And then when he had them on the floor of the debate, I was like, I cannot believe he's making this circus. But then the first 3 questions from the audience and from the moderators was about the tape. And he had set it up in such a way that he could lay out that those were just words, and Bill Clinton was impeached, has his law license taken away, and had to pay $850,000 for his actions. And that turned on a dime the entire narrative that the media had been setting up for that whole weekend. And it was the most masterful debate I had ever seen in my entire life. And on a dime, it put him in the driver's seat, and Hillary Clinton, for the first time in this campaign, has been back on her heels, and she has been ever since, and so is the media. And so that's why the media is fighting back as hard as they possibly can to try to turn the narrative in the other direction, because they knew that he had knocked her back significantly, and if they wanted to save her, they had to go on the offensive.
Absolutely. I just want to, because we've got to wrap our interview right now, Donald Trump, convince the Never Trump people out there, convince the people who don't want to vote for Hillary, and the only reason they're doing so is because they fear Donald Trump, convince the people who love Hillary Clinton why this woman cannot be president. Convince those undecided voters. Give us your last pledge in under a minute. Go ahead, Senator Harvey.
The future of the republic is at stake. The world has looked to the United States as the only country in the history of mankind that has defended individual civil liberties and civil rights. People from all over the world want to come here to be able to achieve their greatest potential, and once they get here, achieve the American dream. If Hillary Clinton and the left become the next administration, what we know as America will cease to exist, and we will be no different than the Soviet Union, no different than all of Europe, no different than Venezuela. We will be a socialist country just like those other countries. That is what is at risk in this election. Every one of your listeners have to understand, regardless of what they think of Donald Trump, if they love this country, they have to vote for Donald Trump and make sure that Hillary Clinton never steps foot in the White House again.
There you go. The history, the future of the Republic is on the line. If we lose freedom here, where else do we go, if I could paraphrase Ronald Reagan? All right, Senator Harvey, where can we find more about the Stop Hillary PAC, because I love what you do?
StopHillaryPAC.org. StopHillaryPAC.org. You go on there and you will see the commercials that we are running all across the country in all of these swing states that we have to win We're doing $1 million buy in these last 3 weeks. If anybody wants to go on there and help contribute and help us keep these commercials on the air, it'd be much appreciated.
There he is, former Senator Ted Harvey of the Stop Hillary PAC, the chairman of it. Thank you so much, Senator. Good friend of the show. Hope to have you back on soon.
Thank you. God bless.
And there he was, Senator Ted Harvey. All right, let's go to break right here on the Vito and Vito Show. When we return, Vito and Vito talk about the Trump tapes and forget about it moments. Don't go anywhere.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save
your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the California Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
Fighting the Common Core standards? Need a powerful tool to help inform others on this harmful education initiative? You're covered with Common Ground on Common Core, the collection of essays by 20 top education experts and activists. Reviewers call it the best single resource on the topic. You can share it with literally anyone. Order your print or digital copy of Common Ground on Common Core today. Just visit resoundingbooks.org. That's resoundingbooks.org. And get $2 off when you tell them Vito and Vito sent you. Paid for by Resounding Books PAC.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ReadyPA.org, brought to you by ReadyPA, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
And we're back here on Vito and Vito, the Vito and Vito show. Before we get to our Forget About It moments, Vito, we have to talk about the Trump tapes.
The Trump tapes?
The Trump tapes. What did I say?
I don't know what you said.
I think I mumbled there for a bit. Allergy season.
Mm-hmm.
Trump speaking of that, does he hear the sniffling of Donald Trump?
Is it,
the sniffle attack?
The cocaine?
I don't think it was cocaine.
No, but people have conspiracies. Of course, he's doing cocaine, that he's an alien.
He's an alien?
He's, the Antichrist, Satan's son.
Mm. Anything positive? Well, that's it.
No.
No. Yep. Well,
nope.
That figures.
Nope.
Anyway, we have a. Let's get into it. The Trump tapes with Donald Trump. We all heard what he said. Grab him by the blank. You heard what he said about kissing women. He's just kissing them
because he's so irresistible.
This is my statement on this issue. And you can agree or disagree.
I know.
But let me tell you the humor Donald Trump used. Donald Trump used humor that we as college students, straight males, laugh about. Andrew Dice Clay uses it.
Oh!
There you go. Eddie Murphy uses it. And others. So the point that I'm getting at here is that Donald Trump was making a joke. You really think this man goes around and grabs women? I highly doubt it. Number 2, when you're rich and famous, you could do pretty much anything. That's a quote. Vito, when you're rich and famous, is he wrong?
I don't think so.
What do
he
you
might
think?
have exaggerated a little bit.
Oh, that's the point. He's exaggerating. The whole point about this is that he's joking around. It's sex humor. It's crazy sex humor. And let's take it to another degree. Donald Trump saying what he said doesn't mean he's a rapist. Bill Clinton is. Not Trump. Not that I know of with Trump. You never know what's coming out of that man's closet. Anyway, it's sex humor. And sex humor means that we take social norms, like respecting women, and we turn it upside down just to be rebellious and funny. Howard Stern does it. Andrew Dice Clay does it. Do these men hate women? Of course not. They don't do that. That's sick animalistic behavior. Here's the difference. It's a joke. It's political correctness run amok. And the way the media is spinning this as if he has done it, and now they have 2 women come out, or 3, I don't know how many women keep coming out, claiming that Donald Trump did this 20-something days before an election, and they're giving them all the credibility in the world, seems to solidify the fact that Donald Trump did what he said in those comments. But come on. The man was joking. It is locker room talk. Your husbands talk like that. Your boyfriends, your grandfathers, your grandsons, your great-grandsons, they all talk like that. And don't give me this notion that for whatever reason, your husband or whatever, only real men don't speak like that. Don't give me the notion that your grandson doesn't speak like that. You know they do. And you know you ladies do the same thing over glasses of red and white wine when you're laughing and having fun and painting your toenails and talking about whatever you're talking about. You know more than anybody else that the majority of people, with the exception of Vito and a handful of gay men, most of the people who bought the 50 Shades of Grey book were women. And what is 50 Shades of Grey about, Vito?
It's literature. It's art, Vito.
It's literature. It's art. It's great.
Okay?
What is the primary audience for erotic novels?
Women.
Women. So don't give me this bull, this nonsense, that Donald Trump hates women. Get over it. It's a joke. And to the women who are coming forward and claiming that Donald Trump raped them, touched them, sexually assaulted them, or even looked at them the wrong way, I say to you, I don't honestly give you all the credibility that I think that Bill Clinton's accusers deserve. Because Juanita Broderick was coming out and she kept saying these things a while ago. Her interview was pulled, and if you look, that poor woman was in tears when she said her story. I'm not saying Donald Trump didn't do it. I'm saying I find it incredibly odd that 20-something days away from an election, these women come out and they tell their story. Donald Trump has been fighting, supposedly, this narrative is that Donald Trump hates women since the beginning of his campaign. Why didn't these women come out early on? And that's a memo, in the words of Bill O'Reilly. All right, come on, Vito, quickly. We got a couple of minutes here. Forget about a week.
Forget about it?
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Paul, forget about it.
Forget about it, moments of the week. Excuse me, forget about it week.
Speak English, Vito.
I think we should forget about this week. It's been horrific. I mean, Trump is in a terrible position. But go ahead, Vito. Forget about it, moments of the week.
And let's start with this. Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Oh.
So I think that's some good news for this week. I like him.
Mr. Tambourine Man.
Yes,
right.
Very nice. In other funny news, in a town called Brockton, a thief broke into this lady's car and stole what he thought was drugs, but was actually her mother's ashes, and snorted them.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, so I guess the guy was in such a rush thinking they were drugs, snorted them, and now the question I really have is why are your mother's ashes in your glove compartment?
Well, you carry with her everywhere you go. There's nothing crazy with that.
And you leave her in the car? I left my mother in the car once. Listen, I left the windows open, but I got yelled at. You talking about leaving the ashes in the car?
Well, you know, I just hope she keeps the windows cracked open.
That's why they were stolen. Come on.
Oh my God, didn't Keith Richards, the guitar player of the Rolling Stones, snort his father's ashes?
Yes, he's also a massive drug addict.
And Keith Richards' excuse was he wanted to be closer to his dad.
I think it's a good excuse. These are the people who influence me.
That's it. Go ahead, Vito. What else do you got?
We mentioned this before with Bob Capano running for city council here in New York. New York City may vote to ban flushable wet wipes.
Ridiculous.
Okay? Let that sink in, Vito.
I mean, you gave us a little bit earlier on, but go ahead, give us a quick recap.
Well, apparently these things are bad for the environment, just like everything else in the world, and Democrats are going to protect the environment by banning everything known to man.
There you go.
So wet wipes are next up.
What can I tell you?
You know, so they're slowly banning everything.
You have anything to say about the Trump tapes, Vito? I thought we dedicated such a small amount of the show to such a big thing. Actually, you know what? It's good that we didn't really talk about it.
Because it's nothing. It's nothing. Listen, relax. He was joking around, over-exaggerated. Every guy talks like this. I got into fights on Twitter about men saying we don't talk like that. That's BS. That is complete lies.
What do you think goes on at a bachelor party?
Okay? The real man will stand up and take credibility for what he's actually said before. We all talk like that. So shut up. Okay? Stop lying. This isn't a big deal. He doesn't grab women by their wherever. Bill Clinton does. Let's talk about Bill and how he's been accused of rape.
You know what? Enough with the Bill talk. We gotta go. But I wish, there's so much to talk about. This is my advice to Donald Trump. Stop talking about Bill Clinton and start giving the people a reason to vote for you. Give us something good. Give us a tax issue. Give us a spending issue. Enough with the bill. More positivity. The Vito and Vito Show in Brooklyn.
It's nothing but the truth.